composition that's so strong late game to the opponent, make sure you have a stronger early game composition, like the casters were mentioned, like you were mentioning, Munchables, and that's how you beat it.
All right, we'll see if they can redraft this one coming on through. We'll be able to start the draft very shortly for you guys. I'm curious to see how Sneaky's going to do coming on into this second one. Obviously, wasn't quite able to carry his team last time around, but G2 going to start things off with a lance ban here.
And I mean, again, the thing you might Salty Potatoes, it was not, they were not out of this game. Like, they were still very much in it. They had opportunities. It's just very small things that could be corrected. But this is a great start for Salty Potatoes, getting the Black Feather into the CP, or into the Celeste.
That is true. One thing worth noting is this is the second time G2's banned Lance first time, so it could be a pick that Krags is known for in the European region, so G2 don't want to see him on it. Celeste, they end up first picking it instead of first picking Grace. It's a little bit curious. I know they feel very confident with Hundor on that pick, but I think it might be a little bit overconfident with the Black Feather coming onto the side of Salty Potatoes especially.
Yeah, it's kind of strange also that they're banning the Lance, because obviously Dark Potato is so well known for his Lance. So either way, they really wanted that Celeste, obviously feeling confident enough to take it without worrying about the Black Feather. Arden's going to get picked up for the side of Salty Potatoes, and this is looking like they may be going for something really early game power focused, because Arden is able to provide a lot of that in the jungle.
Yeah, and the Cruel ban, the Cruel pick for G2 and especially Dark Potato is actually so incredible. I am surprised that G2 hasn't realized it quite that much yet, because it both serves a purpose of being a jungle carry on your own, because Cruel can outduel, he has a lot of ganking potential, but also it works perfectly in their strategies where they want to protect their carry, who's usually Hondor on Celeste or CP Idris or Kestrel, whoever he's playing. Cruel is perfect for both being a solo hero and a team hero to protect your carry, and that's exactly what G2 needs to diverse a little bit. So I like the ban from Salty Potatoes. They end up picking the Arden. Like you said, Tasty Bacon, this is going to be a strong mid-game composition, especially if it's a Black Feather weapon power. He hits a huge power spike once he gets his level 6 and picks up an item or two. Lyra and Glaive, we saw the ban from Salty Potatoes last draft, and I mentioned it's not that significant of a pick for G2, but they end up picking it here, and this is a strong comp nevertheless, because Celeste and Glaive can chain CC. Lyra has a lot of sustain. The only thing is it's a little bit of a squishy comp, so if Salty Potatoes gets a really strong carry here, they can, they go for the Rhyme. So that's a Black Feather lane weapon power.
Yeah, so, well, for one, having Sneaky on Black Feather is incredible. Okay. Like, this is, it is one of his best picks by a long shot. It is going to be so much fun to get to watch this pick again. We saw it when he was making his run through the challengers, played it so frequently, and was just dominant. Like, no one could deal with it. So I'm really excited to get to see this, but the Rhyme pick is still a little bit questionable to me.
Yeah, the Rhyme, we typically see it going into melee cleave compositions, but against the Celeste, I don't know how it's going to be able to fare.
I mean, it's going to counter the Glaive pretty well, and what I'm expecting is they're going to want to put a lot of jungle pressure with the Rhyme counter pick into Glaive, scale the Black Feather. Black Feather's laning phase in the early game is a little bit weak until he gets to his level 6, but once he does that and picks up a couple of items, gets a little bit of defense, as I mentioned, he can be extremely effective against Celeste, as we already know. So as they scale and play a little bit aggressive in the jungle, if they get small leads throughout mid game, they can start diving Celeste and killing her very effectively in the late game.
All right, well, it's time to get on into this one. Game number 2 of the series is about to begin. Let us know whether you want G2 to finish this one off or if you want Salty Potatoes to push it to 3 games. Hashtag Vainglory on Twitter. But without further ado, let's pass it back to Dowsy and Denomine to get this game underway.
Ooh-wee, it's Sneaky's Black Feather coming on through. This guy is a Black Feather god. We've seen it perhaps once or twice on the Vainglory 8 stage, Denomine, up against Hundor Celeste, who was just so threatening yesterday. Going to be an exciting game too.
Yeah, it absolutely should be. We all know, obviously, that the Black Feather is one of the hardest counters to a Celeste. So we'll have to see if they're able to pull it through together here. And then, obviously, in the jungle, Esquire on the Rhyme into the Glaive. Obviously, pretty easy to win out those trades, especially in the early and mid game. This is all going to come down to if Hundor is able to stay in a safe place from this Black Feather, and if Keanu Nakoa can use his kit correctly to help Hundor disengage safely and turn the fights around.
So, we're going to get a level 1 fight here. looks like it, as Esquire is moving towards the central tree. Maybe not, actually. Dark Potato going for Sneaky, looking for an afterburn. Here we go. Oh no, core collapse dodge. Sneaky dodging the CC train. And he is able to get out of that gank alive. What do we say? Perhaps one of the best Black Feathers in the world.
That was pretty beautiful use, actually, of the Feint of Heart. That core collapse was coming through right on him. He targets a minion and dashes out of the way and actually gets out safely.
Oh no, he's looking for
it's now Hundor.
Hundor's in so much trouble. Hundor goes down. Sneaky first blood. That is a statement right there, and it's not done yet. Esquire invading Dark Potato's jungle as we speak, stealing away these camps. This rhyme purely used to deal with the glaive, but he's not quite able to get all of them, so he is going to have to backport.
Yeah, not quite able to get all of it, but, you know, anything you can take away is really ideal. Dark Potato is a couple CS up right now and is looking to actually do a little bit of counter invading himself, likely to take a half rotation safely. But man, Sneaky already impressing me on this Black Feather. And as you mentioned, it probably one of the best Black Feathers, so we'll have to see if he's able to carry that through the late game. We know how good Hundor is on these hyper carry heroes, and Celeste definitely able to make short work of a Rhyme and a Black Feather if she's given the means to do so by the rest of her team.
Certainly, Crack's struggling a little bit in this early game. Has no Iron Guard contract, so no real healing available to him. You see Esquire invading once more, looking to steal these back camps away. Doesn't get them though. Dark Potato able to secure them. Is going to be Esquire just chasing around. Oh, Sneaky under the turret is going to fall. Just missed it. But Hundor putting the pressure down, and this double melee lane definitely struggles into the double range, something that I think Salty Potatoes have to be careful of as Hundor gets chased under his turret by Krax's Arden. Very, very risky early game for Salty Potatoes.
Yeah, definitely, you know, both teams showing their dominance a little bit here. Sneaky pulling out that first blood onto Hundor. Hundor coming back with a vengeance, though, and picks up a return kill onto Sneaky. Both of these teams, you know, obviously want to get this win. G2 wants to close it out early so they can enjoy the rest of their weekend, but obviously Salty Potato is going to look to have something to say about that, as it is Hundor trying to get some return damage down onto Sneaky. Not quite able to find it, though, Dowsy. So,
not quite yet. Sneaky dodging away from it.
Celeste not at that point in the game where she has her additional range, which is what's really going to be the key benefit of the Celeste in this matchup, is being able to poke out Esquire before he's able to get to the back line and get a root down.
Yeah, no, I think that Esquire's job is purely to 1v1 Dark Potato while Sneaky deals with Hundor. Sneaky on this Black Feather, we already know that Black Feather's fantastic into Celeste. We've probably heard that quite a few times as Celeste has made her way back into the meta here, and even before 2.7, 2.6 when Celeste was creeping back in, we've heard it then as well. The question for me, and I think the question really for Salty Potatoes that I have is, imagine, Denominate, you have this player on your team who's a one-trick pony. You know, maybe this player like Idris or something. You
Specifically
you would give that player that one trick. Sneaky's been accused of being a one trick. Now, this guy is certainly not a one trick. He has upped his hero pool significantly, has so many different colorful picks he can take to the lane, but his Black Feather's so good. And every time Salty Potatoes drafts Black Feather in the Vainglory 8, it goes to the Joker, it goes to Esquire. They really like their CP Black Feather for some reason. Now giving it to Sneaky, it feels like everything is in the right place, and I feel like this is perhaps the way Salty Potatoes takes games off these top European teams.
Yeah, and you know, we talked about it a little bit earlier, is, you know, Black Feather is regarded as one of the best counters to a Celeste, because obviously Celeste's defense is usually her positioning using the core collapse to stun up melee heroes that want to get to her. And Black Feather, with so much movement in his kit, as well as he gets the additional barrier from landing that on point, can really provide a lot of survivability. But here, looking like we might have a fight breaking out, Dowsy.
Currently, G2 putting the pressure on to Salty Potatoes, keeping them under the turret, stealing away some camps. Dark Potatoes doing a great job of that. First item, Sora Blade, comes out for Sneaky as he's gonna be making his way back down to the base, to the lane, but Cracks may lose his life under the turret. Esquire moves in, forces a fountain out of his teammate there. Now Sneaky's moving on to Hundo, looking for the kill. Hasn't quite found the execute. Kianakoa has no fountain, opted in for the Crucible first, for the burst healing he can get from his Sigil. Salty Potatoes now perhaps looking like to abuse that.
Yeah, definitely trying to as they take away some of the additional farm here from G2's jungle. And they are not done with this aggression here in the lane. Dark Potato and Kianakoa pretty low. Imperial Sigil is going to heal them up a little bit, but it is just Esquire looking to follow up on some more damage. I don't think he's got what it takes, but overall they're doing a great job this game around. But
oh my goodness, Hundo is just dead for sure. Sneaky will find that kill. Esquire gets it. Dark Potato moves on in, looking for Esquire. Esquire is going to die to the turret. In fact, Kianakoa able to pick up the snipe, but before that happened, Esquire pulled the lane right out to allow his minions to crash into the turret. If Esquire hadn't done that, then there was no way Salty Potatoes could get on top of Hundo.
Yeah, definitely not. And, you know, Esquire forcing Dark Potato back is going to be probably a story of most of this game. And it's actually going to come down to Dark Potato later on, helping Hundor, you know, be protected on that back line. If Rhyme makes it to Hundor and gets a root down, it is going to be a matter of time before Sneaky's able to come through and find, you know, a kill onto that squishy backline. So it's going to be about Dark Potato making sure that Esquire never has a safe route to get to Celeste, because they really need both of their damage if they want to take down Hundor. His positioning is so good, and with the Bright Bulwark coming out of Kianakoa, the Imperial Sigil coming out of Kianakoa, it is going to be very difficult for Sneaky to use this counter to its best effect.
One thing that is probably understated is how good Rhyme is into Lyra. Lyra pops those sigils down, Rhyme pops a Winter Spire on top of the sigil. Very difficult to make your decision whether you're going to stick through the healing or give that damage over to Esquire. So almost a counter pick, you could argue Rhyme is into Lyra, especially when this Lyra is focusing on health stacking to make sure her sigils are kind of prioritized by her teammates. We'll have to see how Esquire really deals with Kianakoa.
Yeah, it is going to come down to, you know, the Rhyme play here is going to be so detrimental. Now, looking over at Kianakoa, we're almost 9 minutes into this game. He does not have a fountain complete. He has the gold, but not quite there. But now it is Esquire coming around the back.
Coming for a flank. Great Bright Bulwark stops any engage come through from Sneaky or Cracks, but Salty Potatoes are going to just take this opportunity to run down the lane and move in for this turret, and they can look for a fight here if they want to. Sigil, passageway over to get on in. Winter Spire will connect with Kianakoa. This turret down to half HP as the Winter Spire looking for some damage, but it is just damage at this point. No turret has fallen yet for G2. Ultimates have been used, and these Helogenesis at max rage, providing a bit of a trouble for this melee composition of Salty Potatoes. Good poke comes out of them. They want to continue this aggression, but they're running out of energy on Esquire. I feel like Salty Potatoes will back away.
Hundor is running out of energy as well, and Glaive is in a very tough position right now. They are giving Kianakoa time to heal him up, though, so he will be healthy for the next fight. Fortunately, you know, it's kind of difficult to push in a turret with Rhyme. Here we go.
Sneaky is going to be engaged upon. He goes down before the fountain heals him. Esquire jungling at the backs. G2 recognize it, see him pass past the sentry and execute immediately onto Sneaky's Black Feather, but Esquire will at least get an objective for himself. The Crystal Sentry falls. The turret's going to go down as well. Gold kind of going to go over to G2 here, just ever so slightly as they take that first objective lead.
Yeah, looking really good for them right now. Finding a kill onto Sneaky, and then Celeste, even with not a whole lot of energy, is just so good at sieging up turrets. And that's exactly what we saw there. So far, still a very close game First turret does go over to G2, but the gold lead is still in the favor of Salty Potatoes thanks to the incredible rotations out of Esquire, getting pretty sizably ahead of this Glaive in the jungle. Working into a Eve of Harvest for his second item. He now has it as Glaive is working into a Sorrow Blade. Still quite a bit of gold away here on this Glaive. And this still could be anyone's game, Dowsey. Obviously, we talked about how good the Rhyme is into both the Glaive and the Lyra. It is going to be all about Hundor this game, and this is what G2 is really known for, is protect Hundor, and they win their games.
Right, it's perhaps against another team when you say that the carry has to be the solo carry, and you go, okay, maybe there's a possibility the other team have put them in an uncomfortable position. This is where G2 thrives. Haven't put G2 into an uncomfortable position. They've laid down a recliner. The sofa is nice and plushed. There's a cute little blanket to keep G2 nice and warm. They're sitting in front of the television. G2 having a great time this Sunday evening. It's going to be Salty Potatoes though moving in, looking to try and catch Hundo out of position, but the Bright Bullet stops that immediately. Salty Potatoes really just struggling to find any fights for themselves, no real positions where they can catch G2 and really make them sweat.
Yeah, and you know, for Esquire on this Rhyme, he now has the Shatterglass complete, has the Eve of Harvest complete. I think I would like to see him go the Pond the original route and get those tier 3 journey boots for those
Esquire's
hard engages. But
huge gets the sentry, but he's going to die for it. What can Salty Potatoes get for it is the question on the other side of the map. Cracks moving in. Doesn't actually use anything, but maybe perhaps puts himself in a compromising position. Sneaky's moving on top of this turret. Is going to be Sneaky up against 3 of G2 as they dive on top of Sneaky. Salty Potatoes happy to execute themselves for these, but that's some nice play from Sneaky to at least get some distance. Won't get away. Definitely pulls G2 around. G2 going to take this gold miner though. They're going to strike back with some gold of their own.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason for the Rhyme that I would like to see the Journey Boots come out is he wants to get to that back line and root up the Celeste. And if he goes with the Journey Boots route, obviously if you damage an enemy hero, it does reset your Boots proc down pretty sizably. So it would make it available multiple times throughout a fight if it's an extended fight. And it would be up for every fight is more so the key thing, and that's really what we need out of Esquire here. We need him to get to the back line and help lock down Celeste for Sneaky, and he won't even be at too much of a danger because Krax at this point in the game with those Vanguards has quite a sizable barrier that will help protect him from the damage that Celeste is able to output. Working into some shield, but no armor yet on this Rhyme. So really showing Hundor that he is the biggest threat on the team right now.
And considering you brought up items, let's talk about them. Tension Bow for Sneaky makes sense. The proc bursting onto the Celeste can do a lot of damage, but Esquire Shatterglass, a little bit peculiar. Typically we see first items on a Rhyme be something like a Broken Myth or an Eve of Harvest. Shatterglass not really a part of his regular kit.
Well, that's because someone here is learning from Pond the original. You go with the Shatterglass first. It actually gives you as much sustain, if not more sustain, than the Eve of Harvest, because you get that additional fortified health through your actual damage, Winter Spire, your basic attacks. You don't need as much healing at that point because you're actually negating more damage than you would have healed. So overall, I do like this, but here we go.
Going to be Esquire engaged on great. Winter Spire stuns up too, but he's losing his life. Trying to reposition to get on top of Hundor. Sneaky is so far back, and Hundor will take the Rhyme out of the fight. Sneaky dives into that Solar Storm, and Hundor will find a double for it. Only Cracks left standing. Doesn't even use his Gauntlet in this fight. G2 so comfortable. Salty Potatoes not even threatening, and the turret will go to G2.
Yeah, another turret going to G2. That is a Celeste making short work of objectives, which we know her so good to be. But 15 minutes in the game, you do not want to lose a fight at this point, as now G2 is starting up the Kraken and is going to have it down probably before Esquire is even able to make it all the way across the map here. Boost proc is available, and Krax is coming over. He's going to have vision on it. Dowsey, can we have the Miracle Steal?
Miracle Steal, Cracks blood for blood. Oh, Bright Bullock denies, and now Cracks is dead. he will go down. Sneaky tries to dive on in and threaten out Hundor, but he gets destroyed by a Solar Storm. Only Esquire left. Should I say no anymore? An ace will come through for G2, 10-2. Kraken marching. They're looking for game 2 and a spot into this week's finals.
Yeah, it's looking really good for them. Obviously, with death timers so low. We get into this replay though. Krax comes over and does try to get the steal. Not quite going to be able to. It is Hundor locking it up, and then a good stun chain down onto Krax gets him killed. And at that point, Sneaky had just gone a bit too far.
Oh, Gauntlet's gone
drops.
down. We're going to have to cut you, Denominate, because Salty Potatoes are trying to defend their base here. Both Vein Crystals have fallen. Salty Potatoes need this fight, but G2 disengaging. Hundor going low. Sneaky knocked back. Solar Storm through 3. Sneaky dead. Esquire Winter Spires, but he will fall as well. Another double for Hundor. And as we pan to the Kraken taking the Vein Crystal, or to a war, whatever you want, it is going to be G2 finding game 2 here and taking the series. They will be the first finalists of week 2.
Yeah, G2 with a great performance. Again, Hundor, always this guy who's in a comfortable position to be that hyper carry. We've seen it on the Idris. We saw it come through on the Celeste. And this man really, showing that G2 is a team you have to take seriously this season.
Oh, for sure. G2 looking like they want to make a run to Singapore, be Europeans' world's hopes. And